So, bin ich live? Soundcheck, Kunde. Gut, passen. Oh, warte mal. Wo ich es auch bemerkt habe. Game Catcher an. So, Capture. So, okay. Ja. So, ja. Dann, ja, herzlich willkommen zurück bei einem neuen Stream. Und, ja, bei der, neuen Folge Stanley Parade. Ja, beim letzten Mal sind wir stehen geblieben, dann wieder mein Laptop geschmiert. Ich habe übrigens heute nebenbei, ja, ich habe auf jeden Fall mal gereinigt den Laptop auch von innen. Ja, sollte das auf jeden Fall passen. Das war eine andere Sache. Ich setze jetzt heute ein bisschen anders. Aus Gründen. Brille ist auch schnappen geben. Ja. Und noch eine weitere Sache. Der Ingame-Sound ist jetzt endlich an. Ich dachte, ich weiß nicht, wieso der aus war. Aber auf jeden Fall sollte jetzt an sein und man hört jetzt auch die Stimme des Sprechers. Ja, auf jeden Fall ja. Mal sehen, was. Ich hoffe, ich kann die Mission von letztes Mal weiterspielen. Wie gesagt, mitten in der Mission abgespielt und die Mission schreibt mal frei, wenn man alle 6 gefunden hat. Und ich hoffe, wir kommen wieder zu dieser Mission zurück. Ja, ich hoffe, es wird nicht geschwächt, dass ich jetzt direkt schon zur nächsten Mission komme, obwohl ich die eine Mission noch nicht gespielt habe. Ja, lassen wir sehen, aber wie gesagt, ich starte das Spiel nicht ohne euch. Ja, und, ja. So. Das sollte auf jeden Fall passen. Ja, auf jeden Fall wird sicher Vorkehrungen getroffen. So. Ja. Übergang und das. So. Lädt schon mal. Passen alles. Ja, Übergang. Button wieder weg, so dass ich nur noch einen habe. So. Drücke ich mal kurz Look. Ja, Quote. Also Krähen auf Deutsch. Ah, auf Deutsch ist natürlich das richtig. Wie Uhr ist es? Weiß es irgendjemand wirklich? Frage. Niemand weiß irgendwas. Okay? Weil wir kennen uns nicht mal. Wir sind wie Fremde füreinander. Klar, ich habe alle Spieleinstellungen genau nach deinen Vorgaben angepasst, aber wer hat das nicht? Das mache ich halt. So wie meinen Job. Das ist dieser Job vorbei, na, jetzt kommt ein neuer Laptop kriege. Dann ist er nicht vorbei. Dann muss ich sie nochmal neu erstellen. Ja, das ist die Ehrlichkeit anders. Andere Sache. Also Ehrlichkeit muss ich vielleicht einfach mal einstellen. Es gibt für mich keine weitere Informationen zu sammeln. Ich habe alle Daten über dich. Oh, okay, gut. Der ist gut. Die ich sammeln kann, okay. Das habe ich jetzt gelesen. Und ich kenne dich immer noch nicht richtig. Und du mich auch nicht. Niemand vor uns weiß, wie spät es ist. Anspielungen letztes Mal, weil ich ja gesagt habe und keine Zeit angeben konnte. Anscheinstellungen sind wohl einfach uneinstellbar. Aber wenn ich ganz ehrlich bin, hat die Uhrzeit sowieso keine Funktion im Spiel. Momentchen mal. Die Ingame-Uhr nicht. Die echte Uhr schon. Na gut. Es gibt nämlich, ich weiß nicht, ob sie es rausgenommen haben, was gab, oder vielleicht gibt es sogar noch ein Achievement. Das werde ich garantiert in Display nicht zeigen, weil ich meine Uhr nicht umstellen will. Und weiß ich, ihr könnt es durch. Okay, dafür muss man einfach ganz lange nicht spielen. Das mache ich nicht. Ich glaube, das Achievement soll man noch gar nicht schaffen. Das ist, glaube ich, ein Scherz. Man soll die Uhr umstellen für das Achievement. Das ist ein kleiner Scherz. Weil ich weiß nicht, wie viele Jahre, auf jeden Fall nicht wenige. Ich werde vielleicht selbst sogar versuchen. Vielleicht kriege ich irgendwann das Achievement, mache ich ein paar dazu, dass ich nur das Achievement gemacht habe, ein paar Jahren. Jetzt, ja. Garantieren tue ich es nicht. Aber ja. Auf jeden Fall, wenn ich das Achievement bekomme, sage ich euch gerne mal Bescheid. Aber das muss man lange nicht spielen, das kann ich auf jeden Fall diesen Part nicht machen. So. Okay. Beim nächsten Spielstand wirst du mich hier nicht mehr antreffen, aber das ist okay. Oh, schade. Oder trollst du mich? Kannst du mir noch eine Frage stellen zum Abschied, wenigstens? Wie sollte man schließlich alleine spielen? Ich brauche so ein Intro. Einstellung für die vorher. Wir spielen ja nicht. Ist ja, okay, technisch gesehen ja schon, aber bei jedem anderen Spiel wäre es jetzt nicht so. Aber du bist gerne ein, oder? Na, manchmal ja, manchmal nein. Das ist das wahrscheinlich das Einzige, was ich wirklich über dich gelernt habe. Was Zeit für mich zu gehen. Eine Einstellung müssen wir noch anpassen, aber darauf muss ich mich kurz vorbereiten. Da steht nicht wirklich meine Stellenbeschreibung, aber das ist ja okay. Vielleicht siehst du mich wieder, falls du mich findest. Wir sind Einstellungen später, oder? Bis bald. Ich gehe mal in Einstellungen vorbei. Über den Credits. Du bist auf jeden Fall nicht hier. Credits bist du vielleicht. Hier ist nicht. Und vielleicht werden wir das Spiel beginnen. Aber es ist ja gerade noch eine Mission am Laufen. Dafür können wir, wie gesagt, spielen noch. Aber der Computer ist schon mal deutlich kühler. Angeblich. Das Spiel schon ein Unterschied, aber es ist nicht zu kühl jetzt. Okay, ich würde die Mission weitergehen, weil ich habe kein Intro. Ja, okay, gute Mission ist weiter.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figlets. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Okay. Ja, schade, wenn ich alles... Oh, das Telefon. Hallo. Okay, wir können weitermachen. Schön. Na, okay, das ist cool. Ja, jetzt kommt natürlich ein negatives Ende, oder? Aber auf jeden Fall ist ein neues Ende. Den 10, das ist auf jeden Fall von. Das ist der Sound heute. War das so gezogen? Nee, das ist gerade nicht die richtige Uhrzeit. Ah, interessant. Das ist eine, haben wir noch nicht gemacht, aber können wir jetzt auch nicht machen, weil wir jetzt hier in der Story feststecken. Ja. Oh.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Okay. Da ist aber wieder eine. Ah, da kommen wir nicht ran, weil die Sterne sehen ein bisschen komisch aus. Das gehört aber noch nicht mehr ran. Oder kann man die jetzt von vorne sammeln? 7 von 6? Okay. Ja. Also, wir will nicht so Angst. Wir haben die Katze nicht bekommen.
And here was a second Stanlerine. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Ruhig. Oh ja, man sieht. Okay, das ist gut, nochmal. Oh, hier die dritte.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Bathroom. Das war's doch, oder? Weil sie das dritte oder vierte war.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
Also kriegen wir jetzt 12.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Das war nicht so. Das war ein Fireplace. War's doch. Heimraum. Da stimmt doch was nicht. Und den Apfel kommt auch nicht so bekannt vor. Der Paketraum, ja, dann kann ich mich erinnern.
This was the 5th mini-stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Seht das YouTube-Video von früher, vor 11 Jahren. 13. Echt das Video, ich mal so viel finden. Bestimmt, aber ich meine, irgendwann war von den Machern auch zuerst eigentlich ist ein Trailer. Ich weiß nicht, ob es das Video vorher schon gab oder Entwickler. Aber ja, das war doch dein Ende.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Okay, geht weiter. Da war ich eigentlich. Noch umbrechen. Dann Game Over gehen.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others.
Okay.
Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other, except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Dann haben sich gleich verändert. 2 von 6. Ja. Oh. Hier werden das Scherz wohl hier. Warte, den Pack für die extra die rote Tür, okay? Der war genau nicht weiß. Das ist das unendliche Loch. Was? Er springt rein.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Moment, das ist schon. Ja, die Gegenwart. Aber schöner Raum, ich hätte mich gerne noch umsehen.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Schon gewünscht, wir können den Raum noch ansehen. Warte, warum will eigentlich das ist ein Spiegel? Ein bisschen unsichtbar. Ah ne, ist doch der Fernseher. Wer will Memory?
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more.
Okay, ich wusste. Aber ja, kürzer fassen bitte. Wenn ich wieder abstürze mit einer Mission. Konnte ja vorher nicht drauf.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Okay, jetzt sind wir schnell bei mir an.
Yes, I love that video.
So. Die Tür wird hoffentlich geöffnet. Sammeln. Ich wünschte, ich könnte jetzt einsammeln, nämlich Look.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Das ist eigentlich der Bossraum. Aber er hatte wahrscheinlich keine Lust, den Aufzug gehabt. Ja, da war mein anderen End. Aber ich weiß es nicht.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Also wir kriegen jetzt 18. Oder kriegen wir noch mehr? Oder gibt es noch eine besondere? Was ist irgendwie hier dann geht? Ah, nix. Aber gut. Okay, ich wollte wissen. Gibt's einen Trigger? Ah ja, das sehen wir wahrscheinlich nicht mehr.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going.
Ja, verstehe ich. Irgendwann gibt's nicht mehr. Gib mir noch, das ist auch ein Problem, 100% geben. 100%, was kriegt man dafür? Ein neues Texture-Pack ist ja manchmal cool. Kann man auch mal mit einem neuen Texture-Pack spielen. Mission. Das sind die aber nicht dazu zählen, die unendlich weitergeht. Spaß hat. Manchmal in manchen Spielen. Der bringt nichts. Gut, hat man eine Kleinigkeit. Der Junge aber spielt selbst, wenn nicht mehr was im Menü oder man bestaunen kann. Aber es macht keinen. Ich will das immer wieder. Okay, man hat das Gefühl, ja gut, jetzt kann man in Urlaub gehen. Oh ja, die erste Figur. Wo die Figuren eingeführt wurden.
This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Ja, jetzt normales sind, warte, NDCs. Aber warte, gehen wir jetzt zum alten Bild zurück. Normal. Das ist das Museum. Ich bin im Museum. Ah, eine Mini-Variante. The Jump Circle.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Warte, bitte, das war ja nicht das Ende. Wir haben das eigentlich noch nicht gemacht. Das erste Ende.
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Moment. Ah, das ist mein Raum.
And before everything else, there was your office.
Jetzt kommt die Katze, die rückwärts gespielt oder was?
Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ist wieder normal? Okay. Wie?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Wir kriegen mit irgendwas überspringen. Okay, es scheint wieder normal zu sein. Es scheint wieder normal zu sein.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Kann ich rausgehen? Kann ich rausgehen oder hast du das nicht vorgesehen?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Also gib mir nochmal Ende. Okay. Aber ja, ich mache jetzt auf jeden Fall. Ich weiß, wie ich Ende jetzt machen will. Das ist doch ein Twist.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay. Der Raum ist wieder normal, oder?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Was wieder gewesen kann man mal sein.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. 28. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oder irgendwelche nur so finden, dass die Nummer nochmal eingibt. Naja. Warte. Das wird irgendwie sein. Er sagt, ja, weiter.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay. So.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Okay. Ende.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ja, ich glaube, ich habe ein Speech warten, aber es war nicht.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
1 ist das wieder. Wo ist mein Büro? Oh, weiter. Okay, vielleicht oder weil bei mir nicht funktioniert, verstehst du? Okay.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Sowieso kein Zurück mehr. Gut.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Oder vielleicht sollen wir genau das machen. Naja, egal. Komm, wir machen es jetzt. Jetzt.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine! Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Hat Stanley ein Gehalt bekommen? Geil, die Frage. Schlage das Spiel. Ja. Und geht weiter. Komm. Los.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja, ich will jetzt noch mal jemand machen, dass ich jetzt das einfach anschalte. Oder ich nehme. Ich glaube, ich mache jetzt einfach noch mal auf so. Was passiert. Okay, neue Content-Tür ist wieder zu.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich glaube, ich mache es jetzt gleich aus.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Ah, ja. Weil da hat sie mich länger geredet, also ich auch das Gefühl, mich länger geredet. Absichtlich vielleicht.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Okay. Ach so. Das wäre nochmal gleich mit einem Eimer. Sage ich euch. Aber ich will jetzt immer das Aufkellen machen. In visueller Edition. Ich will jetzt ein bisschen schneller gehen. Und dieses Spiel in Ordnung, wie ich das mache. Und ich habe auch so funktioniert. Ich will gerade sagen, nee, das funktioniert.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
The
lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers, the lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Yeah. One!
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh, dear me. What's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Kann ich es überhaupt schaffen? Ich habe die überhaupt nie gesehen. Okay, da kann man's bieten. Oh,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Wir gehen mal einmal hier rein. Ich wollte Wasser einmal reinfüllen.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay, da sehen wir, was ich meine, Option war ja manchen Enden begrenzt. Deswegen. Ich hätte mich mit Aufzug fahren. Ich wusste nicht, ob die Option mir gegeben ist, dass ich mit dem Aufzug fahren kann. Mehrmals. Und ich weiß es immer noch nicht, weil wir sind ja noch.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
Ist es schwer?
It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Wir drücken jetzt wirklich mal die 3. Wir haben die 3 noch gar nicht gedrückt. Der Code ist doch nicht 3. Okay, wir drücken es trotzdem. So.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Okay, ich verstehe, wir sollen weiter. Wieder rein. Dann ist möglich.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Ja, dann überlege ich auch.
A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again? No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Cool.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Ja. sehe schon. Zurück zum Aufzug.
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Also geht aber kaputt das sein. Okay.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Okay.
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
Okay, yeah. Oh, well. Stay. This frei.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Naja. So. Huh? Dann. Ah.
There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Nach dem Ende. Okay. Oh. Hä? War gerade Text, ich habe nicht gelesen, was da stand. Oder heißt.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja, echt wieder. Entschuldigung. Gerne mitnehmen kurz, einfach. Komm. Aber wer ist.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ich werde auf jeden Fall jetzt nicht den Monolog ausreden lassen.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find her. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Oh. So, jetzt gehen wir runter, machen 2. Eine. Nur sagen wir noch eine Explosion sind, wenn es überhaupt möglich ist. Ich glaube, es gibt einen Haken vielleicht. Ein Ende.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Okay, gucken wir uns jetzt an. Wahrscheinlich. Hier sind überall
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Oh, interessant. So.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raised furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Ah, okay. Ich habe die Wände anscheinend echt danach erst. Oder? Irgendwie das Gefühl. Okay, eins ist unter. Zwei daneben. Okay, interessant. Aber ja, ich werde jetzt ausschalten. Vielleicht werde ich jetzt auch aufgehalten. So, mal sehen, was passiert. Ja, wenn wir beides machen. Ich gehe später jetzt das Ding an.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Kann man eigentlich an jeden Ende zurückgehen eigentlich?
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Okay, es gibt auf jeden Fall kein Explosionsende. Eigentlich wollte ich das andere. Wir sind einfach glücklich werden.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Das ist eine andere Geschichte. Hier sind wir in einer anderen Geschichte.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay. So.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find it. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
So, ich weiß. So.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for this. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay. Ich war ja irgendwie kann ich eigentlich mit dem Eimer zum Himmel? Da hat man so eine Frage. Was will ich eigentlich noch machen? Mit dem Eimer zum Himmel. Oder muss ich ihn dann abgeben für?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Ja, ich will ja mit Speed run.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Okay, hier komme ich runter.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never...
Okay, aber jetzt auf Ende.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
Okay.
True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Noch ein Achievement? Bitte? Nein. Und wieder.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Wer bitte freundlicherweise jetzt Knöpfchen wieder drücken. Weil mache ich jetzt Aufgaben. Ja, ich glaube, ich überlege jetzt Aufgaben zu machen. Und nächstes Mal, ja, das ist
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
So, jetzt einfach mal das Spiel, das sieht echt. Auf jeden Fall, das ist nach Zeit bestimmt.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather. Where are we going today? The bucket asked.
Okay, weil jetzt kann ich einfach nur neu starten.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Sehr gut, ich 100 Mal hier drauf. Ja, auf jeden Fall ja. So.
Message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Aber hier, die müssen ja nicht Rekord, das wissen wir durch ein Ende. Ja, das ist jetzt eigentlich auch mal dieser Raum. Will ich einmal.
The embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Das ist die neue Content-Tür. Ist nicht? Wir werden mal neu beginnen. So, jetzt habe ich auf jeden Fall das Telefonatgespräch gemacht. Ich mal durch.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office? Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
So, ja.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
Wir wissen, ob ich ihn aufregen kann.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. It takes a lot of humor.
Ja, okay. Dann mache ich wie so weiter. Ich will mal sehen, was passiert, wenn wir einfach nur mal das Spielchen triggert.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Über rechts, mal geht's links lang. Ah!
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again. Stanley cradled the bucket.
Ja, ist schön, aber ich bin Spiel zu messen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Okay. Zwei war noch und lasse ich es einfach. Okay, das hatten wir schon.
Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Okay. Aber ja, es gibt viel für ein paar Enden. Auf.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps...
Hier ist direkt neu starten.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I want.
Okay, geh. Dann machen wir weiter.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what... Stanley's bucket. The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
Ja, besonders?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chin. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to... And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Okay, ich bin zurück. Schade. Okay, hier ist man lang, wie es die Bild sagt. Okay, aber ich mache...
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
So.
Yeah.
Das ändere ich noch nicht. Mit Bucket komme ich nicht zu den... Bucket komme ich auf jeden Fall zu bestimmten Sachen nicht.
All of his co-workers were...
Warte mal.
Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office? Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No. No, surely not.
Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the... And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Was? Ja, den Ort schon. Weiß ich nicht mal.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley.
Ah, yeah.
We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Gleich mit dem Cover. Egal, es gibt keinen anderen Dialog. Weil es gibt, glaube ich, ein paar Dialoge mit dem Cover. Aber die Adventure Line, top.
Whee! Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Wir sind noch im Original. Soundtrack. Nein. Das wäre. Naja.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Oh.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
Nein.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Jetzt ausschalten. Ausschalten.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Oh. Oh, ich wollte es nicht. Okay. Ja.
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Ich glaube, das ist jetzt einmal eine, was ich zeigen werde. Ja, fällt mir noch ein, warte. Weg? Glaube ich nicht. Aber ich könnte. Ja, okay, ich muss auch das ganze Lager, glaube ich, machen. Aber Lagerende.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ja, das gibt mir nichts. Das ist die alte besondere Evente, die passieren. Da war ein Mensch!
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Aber konnte man nicht bei einem bestimmten Event irgendwie was machen? Aber bei einem bestimmten Event konnte man irgendwas machen.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets
Alter,
everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of
Event,
them.
wo man bestimmte Sachen machen kann. Was sonst nicht machen kann. Ich halt nicht dagegen gerade.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Hier kan ik hier lang. Ik weet niet of het zo lang was. Ik heb even hier maar lang met dit. Ik kom hier nog wel raus. Sneaken. Boah, ik gehe jetzt hier in den Raum. Weiß nicht, ob ich das schon war. Weil es könnte sein, dass ich das noch bekomme. Aber ich mache auf jeden Fall die Enten hier. Nix. Oh. Starten. Nee, noch nicht.
Okay, this is day number 295. Take number...
Oh, das Telefonende.
know. I've lost track.
Das Telefonende.
Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently
Ja,
than
ich habe
this
eine Erklärung,
bucket
weil wenn
is
A
in
nicht
my
eintritt, kann
arms.
B eintreten.
Why
eine gute Erklärung.
everything
Wenn B
feels so...
nicht eintritt, kann C oder A eintreten.
What do
Ich
I
sag
do
mal,
with this
eine
treasure?
Sache kannst du alles verändern. Kommt ein bestimmtes Event nicht. Mond zum Beispiel.
I can
Mond kommt
monetize
nur
it.
wenn... Erstens Mal, beim zweiten Mal nicht. Oder andersrum.
It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket.
Das kann wirklich lustig sein.
This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me.
Egal. So, auf jeden Fall.
What's that?
Also auf jeden
Who's
Fall.
there?
Also ich bin nur weg, ich wollte jetzt nicht. Aber ja, was war Kapsel? Ja? Naja, also weiter mit dem Thema. Da bin ich auch was. Naja, ich werde das nicht nochmal machen. Kann ich jetzt ansehen. War das schon das Ende? Telefon!
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct?
What new mysteries lay in store for our bucket-loving heroes today? Let's find out. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go. Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny."
Okay.
Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
Okay, haha. Gut.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, with each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles, all of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Was ich wieder Sachen verändert hier. Ja, nicht? Doch. Eine Sekunde.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Okay, Meeting, wir gehen gleich Meeting, ja klar. Durch den Außenraum. Weil irgendwann kommen wir eigentlich auch nur dahin. Ja, wenn er nur sehr kompliziert.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Oh, warte mal. Jetzt können wir wieder breaken.
What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Hey, nur du!
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Okay. Oh.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Weil... Da war wir aber sehen, wenn man jetzt wirklich spielt.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Weil ich glaube, da irgendwo nach links gehen und...
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What?
Aber links...
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Okay. Are you proud?
Okay, jetzt geht hier wieder glitschen.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No?
It
is a delivery. Pale with shame. Pale with shame. Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
War eigentlich schon mal ein Witzkönig? Oh. Oh ja, eigentlich gar nichts. Warte.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Now this, Stanley thought to himself, this is a bucket. And indeed it was. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket.
Nee. Okay, passiert jetzt nichts. Ich glaube, wenn mir schon passiert.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hier eigentlich irgendwo diese Computer leuchten wieder. Warte, wollte ich einmal nehmen? Oder?
Finally,
Einmal.
yes, the bucket. Yes, yes, yes. I love that bucket.
Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Okay.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Aber warte, bringen Sie noch mal was. Warte. Ich habe einmal den weg, weil ich glaube, wir haben das sprechende Ende noch gar nicht.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Ja, das kriegen wir noch hin. Komm, oder?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the... Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the bucket destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it to the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and
Ich wollte es. Ich wollte mal ein anderes Ende haben. Nee.
bucket destroyer.
Okay. Ja, das ist wirklich ein trolliges Ende.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. One man, one bucket, one chance to seize their destiny together.
Das soll doch hier gar nicht sein. Okay, wir wollen eine Alternative. Sehr witzig Spiel. Aha.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ja, hier dürfen wir einmal rein, das weiß ich. Also, das jetzt mal sein. Okay. Also, wir haben jetzt eigentlich jetzt einmal Ende, bis auf das Ende, was ich selbst noch nicht gemacht habe. So, ich kann auch jetzt mal den PC abchecken. Ja. 2. Weil wo die anderen beiden sind.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The two of them were in.
Aber ich weiß nicht mehr, wie man entkam mit. Auf jeden Fall will ich jetzt auch. Aber wo ich jetzt mit.
Already, this was uncomfortable. And Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Okay.
It's bucket.
Aber ich erwarte jetzt nichts. Aber ich will jetzt. Einmal.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Okay, also kann den einmal gar nicht mitnehmen. Obwohl man.
It's bucket time.
Oh, also man kann mit dem Eimer gar nicht zum. Schade. Wo ich es gerade, glaube ich, gleich machen werde, einfach nur als böse Betrieb.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Weil die Überlegung gerade, wie das Glitchende kam. Ja, aber noch was zum Glitch.
Still
Ja,
no
aber
one
ich
was
glaube, war es
here.
nicht sogar zum
Stanley
Glitch
needed the
Ende?
bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Ja, komm. Das war jetzt Cape Ende. Oder wir machen, oder besser unser Schluss. Weil war es gerade eine Variante. Ja. Oh ja, ich glaube, wir machen den Schluss. Aber ich glaube, war hier was Besonderes gerade? Fast.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Ja, aber ich glaube, das machen wir doch nächstes Mal. Okay, jetzt ist gut zu wissen, aber kann also da nicht rein. Ja, gut, dann wir machen wir jetzt vorbei, ja. Wie lange egal. Ah, der Part geht lange noch. Warte, sind wir echt schon das Ende bearbeitet schon fast wieder durch? Aber einfach viel heute. Garantiert noch mehr. Ich will auf jeden Fall wahrscheinlich nach dem nächsten Part mal schauen. Aber ich glaube, es wird Zeit auszumachen. Ah, es ist doch schon spät. So, ich glaube, ich brauche ein bisschen Zeit, bis ich das schaffe. Weil ich muss ja immer den ganzen, ich weiß, es gibt ja keinen Checkpoint, man kann sehen. Jetzt nur die ganzen Nummern sind. Naja. Auf jeden Fall, wer noch nicht getan hat, kann, ja, liken, abonnieren, Glocke aktivieren. Ihr mit allen Leuten teilen, die ihr kennt. Allen. Ich gehe mal hier in den Einstellungen, ist hier eigentlich. Aber ja, ich glaube. Ja. Warte. Ja, rein. Pilot. Weil das ist neu. Hier soll ich auch noch mal rein. Der Pilot. Das ist mein Freund wieder. Pilot. Ja, bitte. Okay, gib mir heute noch mal. Später. Wesen sein. Ja, auch dieser Ort. Da, Skip-Button. Wow, sind nicht mehr dahin. Dann nicht. Aber das ist hier wieder ein Scherz. Ah, schön, dass wir unseren Freund noch mal sehen. Hilfe, oder? Das sagt. Wir haben uns einen Stuhl mitgenommen. Das ist überprüft. Was habe ich mir wirklich Fotos an, oder? Wir hätten eine Bande mit dem Mikrofon, okay. Ach ja, der Part ist übrigens was sagt man da? Weißt du irgendwas oder ist das zufällig? So, klingt die Stimme. Das ist irgendwie nett. Das sind Stühle? Nicht Steine. Schau. Ort der Erinnerungen. Das ist ihre die sie hier haben. Ich will dorthin. Ja, ist gerade. Oh, ist hier einfach mein Freund. Ja, Kollege, Kumpel. Jo. Oh. Das ist hier nicht ein Schacht, ne? Dann. Wenn das. Also das war hier früher, vorher noch nicht. Aber das ist aber auch neu, oder? Also von den Entwickler. Okay, man kann nicht mehr drücken hier. Noch. Ja, ich glaube, das ist Entwicklern. Ähm. Okay, Kommentar endet. Zurück. Kann ich lesen, weil ich wieder gehackten Kamera, aber. Ich laufe in die richtige Richtung. Oh, scheint so. Ich folge mal den Kabel. Das ist doch der Raum mit den More Collectibles. Wir kriegen jetzt auch nochmal so Collectibles mehr. Steht aber zu viel produziert. Es gibt 26 plus Collectibles. Ich hoffe, ich passe jetzt keinen. Raum in 2 Türen. Kenn den. Wo ich auch mit hier erinnern kann. Okay. Hallo. Jetzt so, ihr endet. Hallo nochmal. Ja, ihr habt doch gewusst, du bist es. Du kommst auch nochmal. Schön, dich zu sehen. Gleichfalls. Es ist schrecklich zu erfahren, dass nie wieder ein Stanley-Parabel-Spiel geben wird. Hast du gelesen, was der Entwickler gesagt haben, die Integrität des Spiels der Serie waren? Integrität an. So ein Quatsch. Der Parabel ist nicht heilig, wir müssen es nicht schützen. Okay, das lese ich vor. Jetzt. Machen wir dieses Spiel voll gegen die Wand. Ziehen wir sie durch den Dreck hin und her. Und wen die Leute draußen, wen juckt's? Schau, das haben wir. Das war das Problem des Erzählers. Er war besessen davon, was andere über seine Arbeit dachten. Ah, ja. Ja, ich habe schon gedacht. Das ewig lang. Mach nicht denselben Fehler. Glaube dich nicht, lass es rennen. Ja, gut. Nein, ich habe vermischt vor meinem Vorfall, dass ich renne, aber das ist was anderes. Das hat nichts mit Kommentaren zu tun. Hier. Da machen wir die Stanley-Parabel. Wir hätten doch gar keinen zweiten Teil. Ganz leicht, wir müssten nur die Zahl auf der Zeit. Wir kriegen noch einen Bildschirm. Wir brauchen einen richtigen dämlichen Untertitel für das Spiel. Irgendwas Lautes und Protziges. Hallo, kombinieren wir irgendwelche zufälligen Wörter zu einem neuen Titel für das Spiel. So ein Spiel. Genau. Ah, ich kann es. Achso, Mehr Piraterie, nein, das ist Quatsch. Mehr abgelaufene Besenkammer, alle... Irgendwelche... Ein Spiel von Besenkammer. Okay. Besenkammer. Ja, egal. Das ist absurd, ich liebe es. Spiel von Besen. Das ist cool. Das ist cool. Oh, warte, ich habe mich beleidigt. Wirklich noch nicht damit. Das ist einfach nur die Besenkammer. Also, ich mache jetzt nicht heute die Spiel der Besenkammer wirklich, sondern Besenkammer. Ihr wisst. Ich hoffe, ihr wisst, was ich meine. Ja, wenn das Spiel jetzt möchte, wenn wir Zeit der Fortsetzung weisen, dann wählen wir einen neuen Untertitel. Wirklich? So wird die Serie niemals enden. Und das Spiel selbst ändert. Und im Spiel selbst ändert sich auch nichts, wenn du es machst. Inhalte hinzufügen hört sich nach Arbeit an. Das ist nicht nötig. Es werden einfach immer dieselben Inhalte sein, immer wieder neu verwertet bei neuen Titelbildschirmen. Was meinst du, sollen wir mit dem Plan weitermachen? Mir gefällt es, aber ich will mitreden. Es. Machen wir es. Komm. Ich will Conny zeigen. Gut. Es ist entschieden. Eine neue Fortsetzung immer, wenn du das Spiel startest. Und weißt du was? Weil es meine Idee glaubt, will ich dir auch etwas geben. Eine Figur. Weißt du, mir ist aufgefallen, dass der Erzähler nie einen Weg gefunden hat, dir den kaputten Erfolg zu verleihen. Stimmt? Wir kriegen ihn da. Natürlich nicht. Ich hätte auch nicht erwartet, dass er es wüsste wie. Das hat mich die ganze Zeit geärgert. Bringen wir es in Ordnung. So, das war's. Die Erfolgmaschine ist repariert. Was? Ich kann aber nicht ins Museum. Achso, wir sind ja im Museum. Siehst du? Bin auf der Seite. Wir sitzen im Boot. Aber ich muss in die Maschine etwa kommen. Ich komme doch nicht mehr hin. Die Tür ist zu. Wir werden diese Räder in Bewegung halten. Dieselbe Raum kann nicht enden. Es kann sich nur für Spiralfirmen beginnen sich selbst hineindrehen. Endlos. Ich muss das Rad am Laufen halten. Ich bin bereit. Bist du bereit? Toll, wir müssen nur noch eine letzte Sache machen. Bitte gib einen Raum ein. Wir haben jetzt 12 Uhr morgens, oder? Ja. Sehe ich. Ja, es ist 12 Uhr, nein. 12 Uhr 27. Oh, aber das ist so gesagt, es bringt nichts. Na egal. Bitte was direkt sichtbar ist. Ja, jetzt habe ich einen Heller für YouTube. Ja, den meisten ist gut. Vielen Dank. Viel Spaß mit der Stanley-Parabel. Wir beginnen. Das heißt, ich kann jetzt die Maschine nutzen. Okay, dann machen wir jetzt noch. Und als nächstes gibt es Stanley-Parabel 4.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big...
Okay, los. Auf zur Maschine.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Stanley
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, die Tür ist offen. Komm. Hier können wir jetzt ins Museum. Er hat gehackt. Okay, er spricht jetzt auch nicht mehr da. Erzähler. Gut, wir sollten hier gleich sein. Auf ins Museum. Ich hoffe, wir werden nicht getrollt. Oh, kann auch den Kreis finden.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Okay. Ihr seid die kennen wir. 2.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why are there so many possibilities? It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Ja, jetzt die Ballons ändern.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Ich hoffe, beide kriegen ein anderes Logo.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
Ah, cool.
Get Well Someday it is.
Und dann.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Neue Achievements. Good.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Okay, funktioniert.
As you can see, the machine is not working yet since... What? Wait, what in the holy hell is going on? You got the achievement? Why did the machine work? Stanley, I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear, it was broken just a second ago.
Ah.
Who fixed it? Is someone here? Are we being watched? Oh, God. Composure. Yes, as you can see, the machine is working as normal, as I intended. It truly speaks to the awe-inspiring magic of the Stanley Parable 2. Breathe. Just breathe.
Das Achievement. Cool. Ah, und auch wieder mal ein kleiner Troll. Aber wir haben es endlich. So kriegen wir es. Ja. Ich will mir auf jeden Fall gleich angucken, ich kann es nicht zeigen, aber ja. Es ist auf jeden Fall. Also auf jeden Fall, ich weiß nicht, ob ich es gesehen habe, auf jeden Fall ist es die Textur, und man auch sieht in Minecraft, wenn so ein Block fehlt, dann die Textur fehlt. Das ist schwarz-pink, das ist diese Standtextur. Oder Violette. Was hat er gerade gesagt? Ich will sie jetzt holen, noch mal machen. Oh! Okay, es gibt noch Alternativen. Ja. Sprungkreis.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Weitere Verdeckung lassen wir es jetzt. Mit Bucket. Ich habe Bucket aber nicht mitgenommen, weil ich glaube, das kann man auch gar nicht.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem of the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2. Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
Ja, gut, dann findet die doch, aber ich glaube, es ist weg. Was können wir jetzt nochmal machen mit Eimer?
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Okay, and I guess we're back in the hole now. Did you really need to see it again? I don't know what else there is to say, Stanley. It's an infinite hole. It's exactly what you're doing right now, but forever. There really are so many other fascinating exhibits that I've prepared for you. I really spent quite a lot of time on all this, and I would very much like to show you some more of them. How about we go ahead and press that teleport button again, so we can get back to what's really important about... Oh, goodness. Well, this is rather embarrassing, Stanley. I'll be honest with you. I truly did not believe that anyone would actually stay in the hole long enough to hit the bottom. Yes, I know, I told you the hole was infinite, but come on. Who actually wants to fall forever? The hole was plenty deep. It was more than deep enough, in my opinion. Maybe it's you who likes falling too much. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Okay.
Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Nö. Also, wir können mit einmal nicht machen, weil ich mache nichts. Dann kommen wir jetzt noch einmal. Ist der Boden? Also will sie Bogen wieder bewegen. Oh, ich kann nicht. Ah, ja, gut.
Is the, teleport button not working?
Okay.
You sure?
Well, I mean,
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
No.
Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
So. Ja, drauf auf jeden Fall. Aber wir sehen, ob es in einem anders ist. Ja, wir bewegen uns runter. Und wir haben den Eimer im Land. Das wollen wir aber nicht. Deswegen macht es so. Weil ich denke, das bringt nichts. Ja. Aber ja, ich kann ja vorschwimmen, hoffentlich später nicht. Naja, nur der lang kann viel. Wir wissen es. Oh nein, was ist dabei? Okay, das machen sollen. Okay, einmal ist dabei. da gerade Telefon.
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole. And I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back.
Mal gegendrücken, passiert das heute mal. Hallo, ich würde gerne rauskommen. Okay. Okay.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Ich glaube nicht, dass ich machen muss.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and valid. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living...
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Jim.
See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says, but no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
Jim.
Okay. Okay, wir haben noch ein alternatives Ende gehabt. Man ihn unterbricht.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Wir waren beim Epilog schon. Verdreht. Birds. Die sind ja zu, richtig, da waren wir schon zu. Wer alle Collectibles schon haben. Stellung Weltmeister. Ich habe schon durchgespielt eigentlich schon, also eigentlich spiele ich doch schon. Na gut, euch nicht. Collectibles gibt's nicht. Okay, wer ist Exit? Okay, es ist nur noch Exit dran. So. Oh ja. Hier dürfen wir nicht mehr rein, weil wir alle Collectibles haben. Schade, wir wollten, das geht natürlich nicht mehr. Ja, das wäre cool, wenn man die Quest, wie gesagt, immer hier reingehen kann und Quest aktivieren kann. Deaktivieren.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Oh, was ist eigentlich, wenn man hier einfach direkt weitergeht, ohne sich das anzugucken? Die Frage ist mal interessant, aber weiß nicht mehr.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Peacefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2."
Aber später darauf geachtet, wir sollen jetzt
zurückgehen danach.
Das Spiel gesagt, nachdem wir den Titel haben. Wir haben den Titel steht dann.
Go ahead. Take a look.
Aber die Frage ist, kann man jetzt 999 mal spielen und dann kommt immer was Neues? Ich werde es gerade hier nicht alles zeigen.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Jetzt
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Cool. Ja, weiter. Content, war das schon wieder? Ah, okay, wir können jetzt permanent hier rein, oder ist jetzt auch mal was? Weiß ja, was passiert.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Super, dass immer nach was passiert. Wenn wir wieder beim Museum kommen, höre ich auf.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Chill.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad.
Yeah.
Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Oh, interessant. Bin da mal hin. Aber, ja. Was? Was ist noch irgendwas? Ich glaube, es ist nichts. Wir sollen noch mal Event.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Das Telefon ist wieder mal nicht da. Oh, das ist der alternative Raum da drüben, oder nicht? Ich gehe was in der neuen Content-Tür. Schauen wir mal nach. Also ja, könnte man das hier immer und immer wieder... Ja, jetzt kann man einfach mal das Büro ändern. Und schon wieder rausnehmen, kann man ein anderes Büro ändern. Okay, ich werde nochmal zurück. Nicht.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step.
Aber mein Freund ist jetzt immer weg, oder kann ich ihn immer sehen? Naja, das fahren wir auch beim nächsten Mal raus. Aber jetzt sind die Verraten 4. Wahrscheinlich auch jetzt. Die Fall wie, aber... Ja, jetzt wieder. Jetzt machen wir wirklich das Outro. Es ist spät. Aber schön mal nochmal. Aber es ist so gekommen. Ich glaube, das ist so gut. Und ja, wenn ihr noch nicht getan habt, kann liken, abonnieren, Glocke aktivieren, Video mit allen Leuten, die ihr kennt. Ich hoffe, ihr habt, ja, euch hat gefallen, dass wir ja, ich hoffe, es wäre doch cool, dass wir Jim sogar haben. Audio. Wenn Jim jetzt auch hört. Ja, mal, ja. Und das ist cool, dass wir jetzt auch hoffentlich alle Collectibles haben, die wir einsammeln können, weil, ja, ich glaube, die anderen kommen nicht verraten. Ja. Weil die sind ja garantiert nur erreichbar, denn in Schieden geht nicht. Weil wenn wir direkt aufgekocht, wenn es ihnen überhaupt noch gibt, Schieden werden, wurden sie ganz rausgenommen und werden dann schalten wir den Spieler frei, ja. Und so ja. So, und dann, ja. Aber habe ich schon gesagt. Ja, und dann, ja, danke noch den Blog, wir alle Teilen kennt, allen, ja. Allen. Ja, wahrscheinlich, wenn ihr alle Projekte, dieses Projekt, da habe ich eigentlich schon eine Playlist zugefügt, bevor es also geklappt hat, weil jeder nicht mehr bequem. Aber es ist mein Leute schon auf jeden Fall. Mann, ist kalt. Ja, cool, kalt. Ja, dann, ja. Stellen wir auf dieses Projekt, auch wenn, ich will nicht immer noch was, weil letzte Deluxe haben wir verstehen, was ich meine, weil 50 offiziell, das ist der offizielle Titel. Oh, was? Hab ich den Gag kaputt gemacht? Hm? Ja. Ja, ich hoffe, das wird nichts mehr auch. Ja. Bisschen nervt, glaube ich. Viel voller Bieten, aber ich hoffe, man kann es nachträglich noch ausstellen, jetzt überändert, ja. Steht auf jeden Fall spätestens, weil, ja, wahrscheinlich nach dem nächsten Part, also nach Part 4, werde ich wahrscheinlich dann ja, Stanley, oder ich werde weitermachen. Ja, also dann werde ich auf jeden Fall die Achievement nachgucken, mal sehen, was ich verpasst habe. Für den nächsten Part wird auf jeden Fall auch Achievement nachgucken. So, wollen wir sehr gerne mal Achievement ansehen, wir müssen verkneifen. Hier rum. Ja, ich werde auf jeden Fall vielleicht eventuell sogar noch den alten Part rein mal sehen, was ich vielleicht mit einem noch nicht gemacht habe. Machen, ja, und dann, ja. Dann eine Videotour, weil eine andere Projekte übrigens noch, ich meine, ob ich schon erwähnt habe. Und auf Discord, da ich Nachrichten. Ich habe übrigens mittlerweile, seit heute den Community-Chat, seit gestern, weil seit gestern, wir haben 14 gestartet, jetzt mittlerweile haben wir schon wieder ein. Das ist jetzt genau kurz nachdem ich die gestrigen Party-Aufnahme gestartet habe. Also cool. Ich dachte nicht, dass es schon wieder so spät wird. Ich lag falsch. Ja, lag gefallen. Ja, glaube ich, weiß nicht, was morgen passiert, ob ich mich ausruhen werde. Wahrscheinlich werde ich mich ausruhen wieder. Ja. Dann, lasst doch gerne einen Kommentar da. Der natürlich auch die YouTube-Richtlinien entspricht. Und ja, dann sehen wir uns mal, in irgendeinem anderen Stream wieder. Ich werde jetzt auf jeden Fall erstmal ein bisschen ausruhen. Und ja, dann, weil dann habe ich gesagt, Stream oder Video oder Show oder was auch immer. Wahrscheinlich auch mein alten Video, wie gesagt, Playlist und in der Videoschreibe könnt ihr auch meine alten ansehen. Die soll immer noch unten, ja. Und dann, hat euch der Part gefallen, dann, ciao, ciao. 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 Ciao.